In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this bee house with my daughter Storm for Mother's Day. Hey everyone, welcome back to David's DIY Reviews. On this channel we do a lot of tool reviews, tool tutorials, and a little woodworking builds like this, kind of half-hour, hour builds. Today I'm building something for Mother's Day specifically with my daughter. So we're going to get into this build, show you guys how to do it. And just before we get started, all the instructions and dimensions will be in the description below. So now let's do it. So the first thing we're going to do is lay out and cut all our pieces. The back of this bee house is going to be 4 1/4 square because the material I'm using is this 4 1/4 pine. So we'll mark this at 4 1/4. We'll draw a line across and we'll start cutting out all our pieces. So we'll go ahead and do that now. So we'll go ahead and we'll cut our first piece. So I'm using this pine, which is 3/4 of an inch thick. So I've cut another piece at 4 1/4, which will be the base. And because this is 3/4, I'll cut another piece 3/4 of an inch longer than that, so 5 inches. That way it will stick past 3/4 of an inch to nail to the other one. You'll see what I mean when we assemble it, but I've got these two scrap pieces. And what I mean is it's going to be kind of like this, and then the other one is going to be sticking past it like that in order to nail into it. And then the two top peaks will be 3/4 of an inch longer than this, so 5 3/4. And then the other peak will be another 3/4 of an inch longer than that to stick past, and it will all be even. But you'll see what I mean more when we get into assembly. So we'll go ahead and lay those all out and cut them. So like I said, we'll go ahead and lay out the next piece, which is going to be 5 inches. So you're going to need two pieces at 4 1/4, one at 5, one at 5 3/4, and one at 6 1/2. And all the instructions and dimensions will also be in the description below in case you need to check there. So go ahead, we'll mark this, we'll cut it, and we'll cut the rest, and then we'll get into assembly very soon. So I've got all my pieces cut now, and now you're going to start to see how this method comes together. So this is the back. This is your first base or bottom at 4 1/4, which is the same as this. Then this, being 5 inches, sits perfectly like that, so you can nail here. And then you've got your two roofs, one of which sits on this side and meets flush here, and the other sits like that. And then they overhang down off the roof to kind of give a roof effect, as you can see, like that. Also, I've ripped these a 1/2 inch, actually, I think it was 1/4 inch, I forget. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want, you can rip the two floors or bases a bit narrower, just to give a bit more of a visual effect. So now we'll go ahead and we'll start assembling this together. So you could glue and nail this together or screw it, but it's not really like a super structural piece, so just nailing it is going to be perfectly fine. So we'll go ahead and nail it up now. So we've got the base nailed on. So remember, when you do the roof, the shorter of the two roof pieces will come flush to the top, so that this will sit like that, and they'll overhang down just slightly, just like that. So we'll go ahead and do that now. So we're just putting in a few more nails on the front side, and then we'll move on to putting in the interior. So now that we've got it nailed together, we need to fill it with our sticks. So I've got a bunch of kind of sticks from around in the backyard. You're going to want sticks that are dead. They're going to be easier to cut, easier to drill. And you kind of want to set them in there so they're a bit shallower than the depth of your base, just so it looks good. And yeah, that's about it really. So about 2 1/2 inches is going to be good for this. So I'm going to cut a bunch of these at 2 1/2 inches, and then we'll drill them out. I measured this 2 1/2, we'll go ahead and cut it. Now you gotta have to kind of be careful cutting this kind of raw dead wood. It will break easily. It takes a bit of time, it's pretty tedious. The bigger you make. So I've got them all cut, now I'm going to drill them out. Anywhere from probably 1/4 to 5/8 is going to be a good size to drill. I drill the smaller one smaller, and the bigger one's a bit bigger. Also, you don't want to drill all the way through because how the bees get out in the spring is they eat their way out. So when you glue this in, you don't want the bees eating into the glue, so don't drill all the way through. So we'll drill these all out and then we'll get to assembling them in. So I've got all of them cut and drilled, and then we're just gonna lay glue in the back of here and start laying them in. That's all we got to do is just start kind of laying them in until it's full how we like. Kind of space them out big to small. So we'll put in our glue just using regular wood glue. We'll spread it around. We'll get these all in, and then we'll talk about how different ways you can hang this up. And like I said, when you put them in, kind of space them out big to small. If you find the smaller ones are falling over, you can kind of put a big one beside it. You can space them however you want. You could put crossers in this and leave gaps, or just put them on the bottom and leave the top open. You can do whatever you want. I mean, it's pretty much visual for you. The bee isn't really going to care what it looks like. So we'll just continue on placing these in. Make sure they're pressed down really well so they stay. So I'll just put my last one in. Just make sure they're all pushed down nice and tight. And then you're going to want to let this sit like this until the glue dries, obviously, so they don't start falling out and whatnot. Push them all down and tight, and then we'll look into hanging this up and how you can go about doing that. So I've let this all dry up. The glue's dried. Now to hang this, I'd probably go with a metal loop that you could put a nail through. You could also put a piece of wood on the back and then nail through that. I think I'll probably go with a metal loop, and that'll probably just about do it. So there you have it. That wasn't too bad. That was a fun one. It was pretty easy. My daughter had a great time building this. She's going to give it to Mom tomorrow for Mother's Day. It's going to be really great. This one, it's not too hard to build. Doesn't take too long. It was fun. It's going to work. Helps the environment. Helps the bees. So guys, also in the description below, like I said, all the instructions, dimensions, also in the description below. David's DIY Reviews merchandise. Check it out. Shirts, hats, masks, all that good stuff. Until next time, see you in the next video.